Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Energy Speaks Back, powered by B2B Energy. My name is Paul Webb, and I'm the founder of B2B Energy, and I'm your host. And weekly, I present to you energy experts from around the world. Welcome to episode 107. And this is a special episode of Energy Speaks Back, Revisited, where I invite the experts back into the room to provide us with an update. Our purpose, as always, is to provide a good understanding of energy management knowledge from around the world, which is available today for us to deliver savings that impact on our planet. On our journey of knowledge sharing, we would like to thank our sponsors and certificate partners, Ester Energy. Today's special guest has become a close friend of mine, where we share knowledge and contacts around the world. So without any further ado, I give you Iain Hamilton Gates. Good afternoon, Iain, and how are you today?
Oh, fantastic, Paul. It's been a while. It's been a while.
So for the benefit of the audience today, we are on a Energy Speaks Back Revisited, and we spoke to you in June when we was sitting here in our boxer shorts and our vest tops with our handkerchiefs. In the UK, we would have been, but not you. You're always in the warm parts of Europe, aren't you?
Yeah, I do like to follow the sun. So yeah, when we spoke last, which was what, June, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was the middle of summer, and I was actually in Hungary at that
you was.
stage.
You was. And I remember rightly, we were talking about green stuff on the roofs and solar, but I think you got some changes to tell us about, haven't you?
Yeah, I must admit, the I was working in the green roof industry in the UK, and bio solar was really like a big thing, which is a combination of green roofs as well as solar panels. Well, that fascination with energy savings and obviously solar really got me a lot more like enthusiastic about making
Mm-hmm.
changes, right? So just for the benefit of your audience, I'm all about making an impact. And though green roofs are great, and I do recommend them for especially for commercial buildings, solar gives that instant hit, doesn't it? It gives you that once you get it up, you're generating electricity, you're saving
Yeah,
money from day one.
instantly. Yeah.
And I just felt that was more in line with where I was heading. So yeah, I actually left Diadem Green Roofs and I moved to Barcelona. I left my family behind, everyone in the Canary Islands where I'm currently living, and I moved to Barcelona to work with Solamente, which is a clean energy company here in Barcelona, Catalonia.
So, Ian, I know we've jumped in a little bit here, but can you just give us a brief sort of insight to you as an individual, and some of your background and your origin story?
Sure, my origin story. Well, I guess it's long, so I won't go too long. It essentially boils down to sustainability and making a difference in terms of the impact on the world. That's the crux of it. And over my career, I've really tried to steer myself in that direction. And as things have moved on, I've really realized that, you know, how do you make an impact in the world? There's various ways of doing that. And of course, making a living and, having a successful life at the same time. It's no
Yeah,
easy feat.
yeah,
So with the whole motivation to make a difference ever since I was a kid. I've done, I used to work in the film industry, so I've done documentaries on, saving the environment, many, many things. And then ultimately, I found that the best way to make an impact is to serve people, serve them what they need. In this case, solar. Like if you have a house and you wanted to go solar, well, let me help you transition that process as easily as I can,
yeah,
or so that you can start making an impact. And if I can impact 100 households and then, that keep that momentum going, that's going to have a greater impact than me just making some documentaries or things like this about what's happening in the world. Because
yeah,
as far as I'm concerned, the world is really going downhill fast. And I've got this sense of urgency, like time is running out.
yeah.
And so it's about how to make an impact in the shortest amount of time. And I feel that solar is one of the solutions to achieve that goal.
Yeah. And your accent, obviously, Ian, and I remember we discussed this quite vividly regarding the ozone layer in Australia and the
Yes.
impact on it. And growing up as a kid in the streets there and in the beautiful weather, isn't that exactly great for you, really? Because what's the saying that they used to say regarding the sunglasses and the sun cream?
Yeah, yes. It's actually New Zealand, just to correct you. I know you must have got wrong there.
Oh,
And I didn't live in the streets, just to give you audience. So I used to
that's my
I used to spend time in the
terminology.
streets.
That's my
Yeah,
terminology.
in the mean streets of New Zealand. No, so we had okay, just for clarity for your audience. So particularly during the 80s, the ozone hole was at its largest it's ever been. It's all caused by aerosol cans and releasing of chemicals into the atmosphere, and it's basically depleting the ozone hole. As a kid, growing up in the 80s in New Zealand, this really had an effect on me physically because I was getting burnt, and you still do today, really, really quickly. And it's a different type of, you feel the sun is cooking you, right? Not baking you as if you're getting a
Yeah,
tan.
yeah,
So that made it really real. And, it's obviously melting the Antarctica at the time. So these sort of, I guess, events during the early 80s and mid 80s had quite an impact on me. And it really started I realized on how fragile the world is. And so from that point onwards, I was really motivated to make a difference. So to answer your question, it was slip on a t-shirt, slap on a hat, slip on sunscreen, and wrap on some sunglasses. It was a bit cheesy, but it worked.
it was a
And
yeah,
obviously, if you go to New Zealand, because I also said in my previous interview with you that, skin cancer is the number one cancer in New Zealand, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and with this colored skin, you cook, you
yeah,
know. But now it's kind of ironic because now I'm putting solar panels on people's roofs, and I'm looking for the sun. I'm looking for the best conditions for people too. So I guess this is where it all came from, and you know, because you can see the effect. And now I'm in my 40s. I know the world's getting worse, and if anyone tells you otherwise, I'm just like, well, just look around. It's pretty obvious to me. And I've
yeah,
traveled 31 countries, and I've seen a lot, and it's not so good. And so with this sense of, I guess, urgency, I really want to make a difference.
yeah. When I'm in Thailand and the sun's out, my skin tingles. And you just feel it, it's the massive difference with when the sun's out there. When I was younger, growing up, I used to sunbathe a lot. I used to love the beach, but not so much now because I do feel my skin tingling because of the intensity of it now.
Mm.
And just another quick story there is one of my colleagues was in Mauritius, and everyone's going, "Oh, I was so jealous." She had 2 days of sun. The rest of them, they had a cyclone, a freak cyclone, where they had
Wow.
basically 8 days of consistent rain and wind in Mauritius. And you would think Mauritius, oh, beautiful place, but no, climate change is all around us now. You know,
Yeah.
um, I interviewed uh, Jana from Frog Geeks. She was telling me they had 15 degrees. They normally have minus sort of 10s, 15s, etc. over Christmas, but they had 15 degrees over Christmas. It was just crazy.
Wow.
The temperatures, we are seeing this widespread. It's quite interesting. People aren't admitting to it still. They're still sort of challenging. Oh no, I don't want to get on that boat of saying it's climate change. For me, full stop, straight away. I'm in there. I think it is climate change, but there's still people sort of holding themselves back. They don't really want to challenge it, but it's obvious. We've seen these changes. Our seasons
Yeah. I mean,
are getting smaller, aren't they?
for sure. I mean, right now in my home city of Auckland in New Zealand, it had, was it a whole year of rain in less than 24 hours. And it
Yeah,
rains a lot normally in Auckland, right? So it
yeah.
had these massive floods, 3 people died, which is really tragic.
Oh,
And you're seeing the airport flooded. Like, it's serious flooding. Now, yeah, I mean, that's not just I mean, never has anyone experienced that. I mean, it floods in New Zealand because it rains, but this was just out of the norm. But it actually came from tropical cyclones from the Pacific. So they're getting
yeah,
more and more intense of tropical cyclones,
yeah,
which are they're coming further south because the water's warmer. And this is some of the things that people don't sort of consider is because the water's getting warmer, that means tropical cyclones have more of I guess, a tendency to come further south to countries like New Zealand or even Australia. So
Yeah, yeah,
you're having these changes, and I gave up. If anyone doesn't believe in climate change, it's like, seriously, where have you been? Like, I had a
yeah, yeah,
debate with a guy on. He worked for a petroleum company. I had a debate on LinkedIn about it, and the way that he spun it to me, I just like I couldn't be. And he was an older gentleman. I couldn't even be bothered engaging with that because I was like, he's so brainwashed.
mm,
So I can't like if when people come to me and they're interested in solar, they've got usually two reasons. One, they're
yeah,
trying to save money, and
exactly.
two, they want to do something good for the future generations.
Yeah,
I like that. I don't want to be trying to convert the unconvertible, because they're going to think whatever they want.
yeah,
But meanwhile, the rest of us got to pay for it. And um, in the coming decades, this is why I'm a big believer in sustainable finance as well. Everyone likes talking about the stocks and putting money into various
yeah, yeah,
companies and index funds and things like this. That's all good, and I'm a big believer in obviously investing. But at the same time, I always find, why do people invest? And most of the time they have no choice or they don't even know, but they're actually investing in the companies that are destroying the planet.
yeah,
And for me, it's like that's just a bad investment because in 20, 30 years, it's getting less now, you're not going to have a company to even have to invest in anyway. And you're investing in the future of a disaster of a planet.
yeah,
So all these in mind, it really makes me determined to make an impact. And going solar is just one stage of that because I feel you can make an impact with people's lives, but the challenge is scale. Spain's residential solar market is 1%. 1% have solar. There's more solar panels in England than there is in Spain. And it
right.
just seems ridiculous. And there's some reasons for that I can explain later. But with that potential, there's not enough companies, there's not enough people to install for all the houses in Spain to make a difference in the coming years. Like it's going to be a slow process, and I just feel like we haven't got time.
Yeah.
I really don't think we have time. And so my kids are growing up in a world that's it's not as nice as it was when I was a kid.
Mm. We just touch on you talked about organization investing in organizations as such. That's why we are seeing ESG really coming in. It started heavily in America. We are now seeing that drip feeding more and more into the UK. I do a lot of work with commercial companies, and they are driving ESG now, which is I think it's very exciting because it picks up on the environment, picks up on sustainability, not just about their energy, but on how they are in the future, what they're doing to impact on the world. And then it does the governments regarding their organization, how they're set up. And it's all around sustainability, isn't it? It just
Yeah,
addresses that. And I love the way that they're approaching that. And organizations are getting to grip with that. And I'm finding that's a baby step for them to do something like ISO 50001. It introduces them to
mm.
that, you know. So you've gone into solar in Spain. So obviously there's a move there. But tell us what the challenges you find in Spain regarding. I know you just touched on some of them. What are the challenges you have there now?
The challenge is, well, actually, it's kind of funny in some ways because a lot of people don't. I mean, okay, if you didn't know that Spain actually had a solar tax
Yep.
up until 2018, 2019, I believe, a solar tax. So if you put solar panels on your roof, you'd be taxed by the government for producing solar.
Right.
Now, you can dig into that, and if you go down that path, you'll probably find that the utility companies had some sort of, power sway in that. I don't know all
Yeah.
the details of that, but eventually it got abolished, which is fantastic because Spain has actually the best sunshine hours in Europe, but the least developed, I guess, industry in
Mm,
Europe. As I mentioned, the UK has more solar panels
yeah.
than Spain.
So when was
So the
the tax?
challenge,
When was that tax removed? What year was
I
that?
think it was 2018 or 2019. It was
Right.
around then they removed it, and since then we're starting to get some momentum. And
Right.
there's some subsidies coming in from the EU government, which is obviously encouraging people. But now with the price of energy, it's just economics. And like when I'm talking to people, I'm like, your return on investment is going to be between if they have a battery, between 4 and 6 years. If they don't have a battery, on average is, say 5 to 7.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good investment if you think about it. Because I talk about it because, like I said, I'm in my 40s and I'm thinking, okay, this is like the best retirement plan you could ever have, because you pay one fee, you pay it off, in the savings, and then when you're in your 60s and 80s, when your income is most likely less, you're not worried about your energy bills. You can still
Hmm.
have the air conditioner on if it's hot. If it's cold, you put the heater on.
Yeah, exactly.
So your level of comfort in retirement is more secure. So I actually see this as like a retirement program rather
Hmm.
than just an energy savings. Because if you're thinking it like that you are going to be in charge of your own energy production.
Yeah.
Not 100%, let's be clear. To get 100% sustainability is very difficult. You have to give up a lot of your lifestyle.
Mm.
And most of my clients here in the Costa Brava and Sitges area, they have beautiful big homes. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they're not going to give up the swimming pool, the EV vehicle, and the air conditioner. It's impossible. But how can we make their life more comfortable without massive energy bills? So the challenge here in Spain is first awareness, but also, as I actually put in a post recently, we're entering a little bit of the Wild West. And Spain is a little bit in the Wild West right now, where everyone, I literally heard this today on a call. The guy said to me, I'm going to get another quote just because my garage door guy who's fixing this garage door said to him, I also do solar. And I was like, you're going to get someone who doesn't know anything about solar to install solar panels on your roof, which is for the next 25 years. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a wild west at the moment. There's a lot of people who are coming to become, oh, I'm an installer, and then they'll be gone tomorrow, right? Because they can see it as, oh, okay, let's make some money because there's
Yeah, yeah.
enthusiasm. But
Yeah.
the challenge really is getting into the mindset of the people is, no, you need professionals. Like we have a team of engineers and people who do this on a daily basis,
Mm.
and people who know what they're talking about. And it's not so straightforward, right? It's not just like put a couple panels up and plug in an inverter and away we go. No, there's a lot to know. And the other challenges here in Spain is, okay, so awareness, cost. Everyone's quite cost sensitive. So, and typically, Spain's actually more expensive than, say, the Netherlands or Germany, because those markets are a lot more mature and a lot more established. So it comes down to price, because people jump on Amazon and go, oh, I can get this panel for so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
cheaper. And it's like, yeah, but there's no warranties, there's no delivery with that. You don't know if it's going to come in one piece. So there's a lot of that, I guess, challenges is money and also awareness. Okay. And another challenge here in Spain is there are a lot of apartment buildings more than houses. And apartment buildings are difficult to install solar. So with these, ECG, like rules coming in, new buildings need to have solar. That's fantastic. Because here in Spain, like in Barcelona, there's so many buildings, but it's very difficult to install solar there because you need every single neighbor to agree. It opens a can of worms. So that's the
Yeah.
challenge, is not enough residential homes for solar in comparison to apartments. Awareness of the fact that you can. So the challenges here in Spain is like lack of awareness that the solar tax is gone, money issues, like costs of products are more expensive than, say, Northern Europe. So
Mm.
there's some backlash there, so to speak. And I guess the third one would be there's a lot of apartments. And in installing solar panels on apartment buildings is challenging because you need all the neighbors to agree. If your power bill is less than 100 euros, which most of them are, the return on investment is not enough.
Yeah.
So these are some of the challenges. And of course, I'm in Spain. It's bureaucracy, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, we have a specialist on the team who deals with the ayuntamientos, that's the town halls, because it's a nightmare. And we take care of all that for our clients. We really help them through that process because, to be honest, I've been living in Spain 10 years overall. And I don't even want to walk into a town hall because you're going to lose the whole morning and they're going to tell you that you haven't got this one piece of paper and you have to
Yeah.
book and come back.
Is this what they call a
It's a nightmare.
notary? Is that the notary?
There is a notary. So notary is for when you're buying a property, you have to have it
Right.
officially signed off by a notary.
But
Just everything here.
I've gone through that process. It's absolutely ridiculous. The amount of, I've
Yeah,
gone in to sign for properties and things, and I've signed about 10 pieces of paper. And they've then said to me, what have you done about your will? And I went, well, I've got a will already in the UK. And then they say, well, no, that doesn't count in Spain. So you've got to then create another will in Spain, but that has to be done by someone in Spain. It's crazy. I can imagine the
yeah.
bureaucracy that's involved with this.
With, with installing solar, yeah, there is, and it takes typically at least a month, which is
So
actually pretty
how's
fast.
the garage guy going to be able to do that? How's he going to get through these?
Exactly.
He isn't, is he?
Exactly.
He isn't.
Of course not. And that's what I was saying before about the Wild West.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that, when you're going solar, you want to be talking to a person you can trust.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people very clearly, there's some challenges to getting solar on your roof. First of all, you have to have enough roof space,
Yeah.
and then obviously you can't just put in the paperwork and just hope that it's going to be. No, you got to go through, you got to show engineering plans and all the buildings, what you're going to design. Everything has to be by the book, and I mean by the book.
And what about the
And of course, that
technology,
takes
Ian?
time.
What about the technology? What technology are you using over there?
In terms of
In terms
what
of
exactly?
manufacturer, where's it come from? What is it manufactured in Spain or China?
Okay, good question. So we use European products as well as
Mm-hmm.
Asian products.
Right.
So, for example, this is also a challenge because a lot of
Yeah.
people get nervous about Huawei, right? So we use Huawei inverters and batteries. They're fantastic. They're actually a really good product.
Yeah.
But because Huawei's got a bit of a label now, the Five Eye countries like New Zealand, England, for example, they've banned 5G networks from Huawei. So this makes it a challenge.
Mm.
Solar panels usually come from JA Solar. These are some big names in the market, um, and they're good products. But when you're talking with a homeowner here who might be from Europe, then they're not. They're a little bit more suspicious.
Yeah.
And the German products and Sonnen batteries, for example, they're beautiful products. They look great. They do a great job, but they're 2 or 3 times the price. So this is the challenge, right? It's
Yeah.
like you don't want, Huawei having your consumption data, but at the same time, you don't want to pay double the price.
Yeah.
So, you know, these are some of the things that are challenging as well.
And we spoke offline, and there was something specific you wanted to do regarding um, introducing partners in what you're doing. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. I'm on a mission, right? So I'm on a mission to help transform Spain to a clean energy future. But I can't do it alone. I need lots of people who are wanting to help either themselves, their own family, or people they know in their community and their neighborhood to go solar. And we have a very good ambassador program where we pay you for introductions. So if you introduce someone to me and they happily go ahead with the solar kit on their house, then we pay those people for the introduction. And
Yeah.
so, I'm looking for many people right across Spain because Solamente is expanding right across Spain. We've mastered Catalonia, and Catalonia was our first sort of region of Spain. And we're mainly appealing to the expat market. Expats like myself who might have a home here or a second residence here, who they want to go solar, or they use it as a rental. A lot of people rent out their second residencies here, and then rent it out to Airbnb style to tenants. Now,
Yeah.
these tenants, let's be honest, when it comes to using the air conditioner in the middle of the summer, they're not going to be caring about
They don't
your
do it.
energy bill. And
No.
so, once again, from an investor's point of view, because I always like to break it down to the numbers, when you've got energy bills of 3,000 euros a month, which some of my clients do, and you're proposing a system of say 10 to 15,000, the numbers stack up. Like it's a no brainer because you can't control other people's consumption if you're renting out the house,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And another problem here in Catalonia and Spain in general, particularly in the summer. So basically, the challenge there is like you can't control people who are staying in your your residency who are probably paying thousands for your beautiful home with swimming
yeah,
pool and all this. They're probably paying thousands, so you can't tell them not to have the air conditioner on. And another problem is that when they in the summer, there's a lot the population doubles or triples of most of these resort areas or parts of Spain. And
yeah,
the problem is it actually puts a strain on the grid. So you have blackouts, rolling blackouts. And so when you have these beautiful homes with no power, with a refrigerator full of food, all of a sudden the tenants are unhappy because they're hot and grumpy and they've lost all their
yeah,
food. So solar allows you to break away from the grid. You can have a breakout box. You can separate it if there is a power cut, so you can still generate electricity. So there are a lot of solutions moving forward. And I think just in terms of getting back to what I was saying about before about the ambassadors that I'm looking for, this is something that's ongoing. There's so many houses, a lot of them from overseas people. So if anyone in your audience has a second residence or they know people at the local club or pub or whatever, then I can really help them make a little bit of a side income. At the same time, it's a win-win-win.
yeah,
It's a win for their clients or their friends because they're saving money. Obviously, we're helping to do that, and of course, a win for the ambassador because he can make a little bit of money out of it, or
yeah.
she.
So, Ian, what I'm hearing compared to my first interview with you is you're taking some really big steps towards now your goals. More, you're closer to them, I feel now, than what you was before. You was hitting them regarding the sustainability, but now you're really at the coalface of this, excuse the pun there, of actually really cutting in to delivering your personal goals. Am I right in saying that?
Very much so. And the reason why is because of impact, being able to make a difference
Yeah,
like faster. Like
yeah,
I like the green roof industry. It was just a bit too slow for me. It
yeah,
was projects which are 2, 3 years sometimes, and it's great, and you see this beautiful result, but I want impact now.
yeah,
And I think something else that's like I haven't mentioned about Solamente, why we're not just a solar installer company. We're actually a clean energy company, and it's early days yet, but we're actually building a platform using blockchain technology, which is going to allow people to do peer-to-peer energy transfer in the coming years. We're just waiting for the legislation to catch up.
yeah,
So one of our main, I guess, points of difference with Solamente is that our clients will have the ability to transfer energy to whoever they want. And I think that is the future. Decentralized utilities who have a monopoly for the last 150 years,
yeah,
decentralizing it where I am a producer and I'm not in my home, not a problem. You need some energy over there, I can send you some energy. And I think that is the future. And it's something that you're going to hear more about in the coming years, in the next couple
mm-hmm.
of years, using the blockchain. I will be sending you tokens and things like this. That is what excites me because all of a sudden it means that everyone can be a producer, well, almost everyone can be a producer. And if they have any excess, instead of selling it to the grid for a very low price, they can share it with the local hospital or their friends or their
Or their
family. And
neighbors,
I
or
think
their neighbors.
their neighbors, if you like your neighbors, then why not?
Yeah. Well, you might go out to work all day, and your neighbor may work from home all day. So there's a balance there,
Exactly.
isn't there? So there's this need, you know, that you can, especially in Spain, you're going to be producing it on a regular basis, and if you're not there to use it, you're not going to leave your lights on all day just so you're using it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where you
So
can,
why not
you know,
divert it off to your neighbor? And I'm really excited about the blockchain approach to energy. And you've got to come back and tell us more about that on Energy Speaks Back. We'll have a revisited that's revisited because I really want to hear more about that. I'm quite excited to that. I've got quite a few contacts in that sphere as well that we can work with as well. So really excited about that.
yeah, it's definitely the way to go. I save that till the end because you gotta keep your audience hooked to the end. But it really is the future, and and I think it also creates that community spirit where if there's a whole bunch of houses which are empty but they've got solar panels and you
Yeah,
can transfer energy to the local hospital, imagine the impact on that hospital's energy bill. It will drop right down,
exactly.
and I think this is when they can deliver services better, cheaper, so I think this has a ripple effect,
Mm.
but it starts with, I guess, people like myself just getting out there and really trying to make a difference, and then obviously getting people like ambassadors on board who can help spread the good word, as they used to
Yeah.
say when they used to come knocking on my door. Um, but
And
I think that's
I don't think that's far away, Ian. I've been
no,
talking about that with other people in previous companies that I've been working with, and we were trying to do that 3 years ago. And I know it's slowly happening. So I'm sure there's things like red tape and legislation that needs to be cut through, but it's not
that's
far
what we're
away.
waiting for.
You're nearer than it now than what we were 3 years ago, I'm sure.
For sure. They do say, like our CTO here, he mentions he's quite the big guy on this. It's 2 to 3 years. Once legislation allows, the technology is basically there.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
first legislation and then obviously a change of mindset, because people will be like, what do you mean I can transfer energy to you? But we're doing it now with technology like BISM.
Yeah,
Like people can instantly pay through their phone. And so it just takes 1 or 2 years and people get used to these new technologies. And moving forward, I think, when you've got like so much potential here in Spain and a lot of people who could really benefit from this, and this, kind of free energy. The sun is shining even today. It's cold, but it's sun is shining.
yeah,
Like there's a lot of opportunity here.
exactly. Ian, I'd like to say thank you for your time and thank you for catching up with us again and just updating your story. Everyone I'm talking to, their stories are evolving. It's really great to hear your story. Great to see you're working somewhere with more sunshine. I'm sure you're happy about that. So
I'm always happy.
please, you and your family stay safe in these times.
Thank you so much, Paul.